Hello, this is Leonardo Castellanos, and this is my Humanities final exhibition project titled The Cost of Industrialization. The topic of our exhibition will be the many harmful effects caused to both culture and the environment as industrial progress continues unapologetically. I hope this exhibition will accomplish the goal of showing people the cost of progress outside of just how technology itself improves. This exhibition tells a story of hurting people and a hurting planet, and that we need to listen to these problems before they continue. Exhibit 1. The Cotton Gin. The cotton gin stands as a great turning point in industrial progress and created an obsession with automation and production of goods and wealth. On its own, it stands as a marvel of technology that allowed such goods such as clothes to be more inexpensive to make and replaced painful manual labor with more comfortable factory positions. However, these upsides are the advertised good of technological advancement, and following the cotton gin's invention, slave owners saw more money in producing cotton, and so expanded their operations by buying more land and enslaving even more workers. This expansion of slavery had led to more human suffering than was present before, and poisoned American culture with further mistreatment of African peoples. The cotton gin was made in 1793, and, of course, made at a plantation where it would find most of its use. Next exhibit, we have the Benin bronzes. These pieces were crafted bronze sculptures that held a lot of cultural value for the people of the West African Kingdom of Benin. Many of these cultural sculptures were forcefully taken from the Benin people during British colonization in 1897, a significantly damaging event for their beliefs and preservation of culture. This colonization was spurred on by a need for Britain to acquire raw materials for fueling their rapid industrialization amidst the Industrial Revolution, which was happening at the time. In seeking the raw materials they required for progress, culture and people were damaged along the way, as the Benin people were seen as nothing but obstacles between the British and technological progress. The Benin bronzes were made in Africa by craftsmen between the 13th and 19th centuries, stopping during this colonization that occurred and destroyed most of this culture. We can already see a story of people that are starting to hurt from the need for progress that others deem so important. Exhibit 3. The Washed Ashore Sculptures. The Washed Ashore Sculptures are activist projects made from trash polluting the ocean. They stand as a mesmerizing and powerful representation of all the waste the era of production has wrought upon the environment. They send this message clearly due to them being made of the very pollution they criticize, showcasing the beautifully gruesome sight to any viewers. As, gazing upon this art piece, it's initially beautiful until you focus on all the individual pieces of trash that many people have thrown into the ocean. It sends a message that this trash should no longer be in the ocean. The convenience created by technology has ultimately harmed the future of the planet, and actions need to be taken in order to get this trash out of the oceans. Although this consequence, like many other exhibits, was not intended by industrial advancements, it is still the price we pay for not being caring or able to revise our own actions. Industrial progress never intended for all this hurt and pollution to occur. However, it's still a problem we have to deal with. These sculptures were made relatively recently, in 2010, and we still deal with a massive amount of pollution in our oceans 16 years later. Exhibit 4. Before and after images of the Aral Sea. The images of the Aral Sea show the results of the Soviet Union redirecting the rivers that fed into the sea in order to supply a large industrial agricultural project to produce cotton in the 1960s. Similar to Exhibit 1, we have a need to increase industrial production of cotton in order to make money. This drive to make money through selling cotton is what created the Soviet need to redirect rivers away from the sea, which, as we can see by the image, eventually caused it to dry up. This large irrigation system was an attempt to bend nature to serve the industrial progress of humanity and expand production beyond where it had previously been capable. However, this attempt to bend nature resulted in the complete destruction of the natural balance and climate, and these devastating environmental effects were such as health problems for surrounding communities, collapse of local fishing, and extermination of biodiversity through draining of the Aral Sea. As less water was left in the sea, more fish died, which made biodiversity decrease, which is terrible for the planet. Less fish meant less fishing, less food for the people in the area, and more health problems arise by the giant climate changes that come with eliminating a large body of water. Much like the exhibit of the cotton gin, in order to amplify production of lucrative cotton, something significant had to suffer, although this case features the environment rather than people. These photos were taken by NASA satellite imagery from the time period that they were initially viewing the lake towards a more modern 2023. Exhibit 5, the Garbage Patch State Flag. The invention of plastics and their rapid industrialization had caused a building problem of waste that polluted the ocean, where it would eventually be transported to. All rivers eventually flow into the oceans, so no matter where we put trash, it will end up there. These convenient, single-use plastics made in the name of ease and progress had begun to form the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. As industrialization increased, it became too simple and too easy to use plastics. So we kept producing them, and so they kept building up and kept polluting the ocean until they banded together into a significant problem. The amassing, hydro-borne pile of debris had become so significant that the artist Marina Cristina Finucci decided to declare it a nation and created a flag for it. Through a twist of humor, she created a flag for a piece of trash so large it could be considered an island in and of itself. She also created passports and a nationality for this fictitious island. Seemingly fictitious island. The flag exemplifies the size of the problem. Industrial waste had become so large that it's able to stand as its own nation. The foreboding growth of this patch going into the future will continue to severely harm both the environment and humanity, much like the other exhibits in this showcase exemplify. However, calling attention to this issue, much like she does in this humorous twist, is how we can begin to solve it. Understanding that this trash is building up and that pollution is increasing, we need to take a step back and reel in our industrialization so that it is more manageable for us as a people and for the planet and its environment as a whole. This flag was made by the artist in 2013 and presented at a UNESCO conference in Paris. Navigation of the exhibit. This exhibit is planned to be a physical exhibit to more clearly show the objects and artwork it wishes to display. These artworks and objects will be displayed alongside explanatory plaques that have text that go into detail on the history and the story behind each piece and what someone could learn from it. The exhibit will have no mobility features, as all visitors are free to explore at their own pace, walk among the exhibits, and piece together the message themselves, as any standalone piece already tells the story of a hurting planet and a hurting people. The visitors will walk through this exhibit freely, and each piece speaks by itself. However, as a visitor explores the exhibits at their own pace, they will merge together into one unified message that environment and people are suffering from technological progress. We will provide a curated audio guiding tape with headphones and a Walkman that will help guide people through the exhibit, as it explains even further than what the text plaques portray. Every exhibit will also feature a scannable QR code on these text plaques that will link visitors to external sites that carry further information in terms of research and go into more depth than what the exhibit itself portrays. The expected audience for this exhibition are people who wish to know more about the damage done to people on the planet throughout history by industrialization. I would like investors to remember that this pattern of destruction has continued for many centuries and must be learned in order to stop it. I would also like them to remember that people can be hurt just as much as the earth can by pollution. And in order to protect ourselves, we need to protect the planet by reducing industrialization to a manageable amount. Lastly, I would also like them to remember that currently active efforts are being made to combat the damage and call attention to these issues. We have to start somewhere, and we've already begun. We need to keep up these active efforts in order to save the planet and save ourselves. The takeaway message of this exhibition is, in order to stop the destruction of people on the planet, we need to recognize these mistakes and prevent them while avoiding blindness for the sake of progress. Progress is amazing. However, being blind to the damage it causes will only harm us. We need to take progress slow and recognize mistakes as they happen. This concludes my presentation.